How do you get more stuff done? Hey everyone, Howard Kingston here, entrepreneur, marketer, and co-founder of Growth Velocity Academy. In this episode, I want to talk about how to be insanely productive every single day. Now, in a previous episode, I talked about how to plan your year. All right, so I definitely recommend you check that one out if you're like wanting to set goals and stuff like that. But we got a follow-up question from somebody who checked out that episode, really about like, okay, that's great. That's how to like plan my year and stuff, but how do I plan every day? I feel like I'm not that productive on a day-to-day basis and I'm getting overwhelmed. All right. Now, in this episode, I want to talk to you exactly how I plan my day every single day. And I have been doing it for years. All right. I'm going to break it down. This is going to be so practical. It's going to show you exactly what I do. And believe me, if you do this, I promise you, I guarantee you, you're going to feel yourself getting more stuff done and you're going to see yourself getting more stuff done. The best thing is, it's super easy. Anyone can do it. All right. So what is it? So this system is called the Ivy Lee method. Okay, the Ivy Lee method. Now, who was Ivy Lee? So back in the year 1918, this is Ivy Lee. He was a management consultant and a smart dude back in 1918. And he went into a client called Charles Schwab. Now that name may not mean a lot to you, but back then in 1918, he was literally one of the most richest guys of the time, and he owned a steel company. Back in those days, steel was like the technology. It was like he was like the CEO of Apple or something of that time, right? And he was there. Ivy Lee was sitting there with this guy, Charles Schwab. And Charles Schwab was sitting back and he was like, listen, things are going good, but I want my teams to get more stuff done. Now, Ivy Lee was a management consultant, and management consultants are all about ideas, all right? And, kind of helping people get new ideas and kind of like analyzing things to get more, to come out with new strategies. And Charles Schwab said, I don't need more ideas. I just need more stuff done by my team. So Ivy Lee was sitting in the office and he kind of went silent for a few minutes and he was pondering. And with that, he said, I have something for you. And I'm going to tell you how you can get more from your teams. And if you implement this, I know that you'll have incredible results. And he described what's called the Ivy Lee method, which is now. All right. Now, there's really three parts to the Ivy Lee method. And what is it? So part number one was at the end of every working day, Ivy Lee said, at the end of every single working day, get a piece of paper. It could be a yellow sticky note, for example. I don't know if they had yellow sticky notes back then, but you know what I mean. Grab a piece of paper and write down the 5 most important things that you need to do the following day. So this is maybe at 5 or 6 o'clock, whenever you finish work, get a piece of paper and just write down the 5 most important things you need to do the following day. Okay? So that's part number one. Write down the 5 most important things the following day. Then part number 2, once you have that done, then take a moment to prioritize them. Okay. Now, this is a really important point. This is where it's different than just a normal to-do list. A to-do list is like a long list of stuff you got to do. But on this list, you need to then prioritize them. There can only be one number 1. There can only be one number 2, etc. So of the 5 things that you've just written down are the most important things you need to do the following day, you need to prioritize those. So you'll have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And of course, number 1 should be more important that you do the following day than number 5 is. Okay? Then, part number 3 is leave that piece of paper by your desk. And the next day when you come into work, get that piece of paper. And just start working on number 1. Okay, you don't go to number 3 or number 4. You go to number 1 first. Okay, and when you go to number 1, you start working on number 1 and you don't work on anything else. You don't do your admin. You don't do your filing. Don't do your emails. Of course, he didn't have emails back in Ivy Lee's day. And he was explaining Ivy Lee was explaining to Charlie Schwab, you just start on number 1 first, and you don't do anything else until you go to number 2. And once you have that finished, then you can move to number 2 and only work on number 2 until you get that finished. And when you finally get that finished, then you can move to number 3, etc., etc. And even if you only work on number 1 the whole day, but you get that finished, you knew that was the most important thing you had to get done that day. And you can go home at the end of the day knowing that, you had a productive day. So Charles Schwab just leaned back on his chair and he thought about it. He said, okay, I'm going to try this for the next 3 months. How much do I owe you for this? And Ivy Lee said, listen, don't pay me anything for this advice now, but try it for the next 3 months with your team. And if you think it's valuable, write me a check for how much you think it's worth. And Charles Schwab agreed. So a few months later, they met back after 3 months, and Charles Schwab was amazed how much progress they made, and he wrote Ivy Lee a check for $25,000, which at the time was a lot of money. In today's terms, that's about $400,000. Okay, so just to recap, how does it work? So the Ivy Lee method, again, works in a really, really simple way. All right. You grab a piece of paper at the end of the day, write the 3 most important things or the 5 most important things that you need to do the following day while it's clear in your head. Put that piece of paper beside your computer. All right. Then then second step is you prioritize them. Okay. Make sure you then prioritize them. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Then you leave it beside your computer. Next day when you come in, the first thing you do is you grab that piece of paper and you start with number 1. Then when you finish, you start with number 2. You go to number 2 and go to number 3, etc. Now, I have been using this system myself for probably the last 7, 8, 9 years. And I remember when I started using it the first time, I could actually feel myself getting more stuff done every day. It was almost like, I was just it was like I sharpened the blade on my axe and I was able to chop down the tree so much faster. Okay, so I really would encourage you to try that this year. Give it a go. Try the Ivy Lee method, even for a week or 2, and let me know how you get on. I promise you it'll be highly effective, especially if you're disciplined with this. Now, there's a few reasons. Why does it work? Well, I believe it works really well for 3 reasons. 1, because it's just super simple. Days are complex. Like your work life is complex. You're, trying to take over the world and you've got a lot of moving parts. So this just simplifies things. It actually works so well because it's so simple. Now you might go, oh, well, my life, it just sounds too simple. I need to, a lot of times people have these project management systems in Asana and, Monday.com, and it's so complicated. You want to simplify the complex, okay? And that's why this works so well. There's only so many hours that you have in the day. Make a list of your 5 priorities for the day and keep it simple. The second reason I think it works well is when you're in the prioritization phase, when you've listed down the things for the next day, sometimes it's going to be really difficult to prioritize those things. Trust me on that. You're going to be like, oh, should I do this? Is that more important than this? But that's the point. Most people don't prioritize and they just have a to-do list and they just start moving through the stuff, probably based on either what's more urgent or what feels easier. And that's not the best way to approach what you get done every day. Sometimes the most important thing to do might not be the most urgent thing to do. And then the third reason I think it works really well is it just removes friction. You imagine if you just walked into your office every morning, got to your desk, and you knew what the most important thing you needed to do was. You'd already slept on it, so your subconscious probably has bubbled up a few ideas, and you don't have to spend the first 30 minutes or an hour trying to figure out, oh, what should I work on today? Now, some days you know what you need to work on, but other days you're tired, you're not that focused, and you might forget. I think we've all been there, that we've been working and then we go, oh my goodness, I was supposed to work on this other thing today. I completely forgot. We're all human, guys, and it just removes that piece of friction that you have to think about things first thing in the morning while probably your brain is still on boot up mode, right? No matter how much coffee you've had. Okay, so that's why I think this works really well. I really encourage you to try it. And let me know how you get on. All the links you need are in the comments, or in the show notes. And I'd love you just to come back and let us know. How do you get on after trying this? I promise you will get on great. Okay. So guys, just a reminder, in this episode, we're talking about really how to get more productivity out of the day. And I shared with you the Ivy Lee method, and it's all about writing your priorities at the end of the day for the next day on a piece of paper, prioritizing them, and then just focusing on that the following day. All right. I'd love to hear how you get on. And as always, if you want some more help kind of moving forward in your career or your business, we have a ton of ways that we can help you. They're all in the links below this episode. And if you want to hop on a call with one of my marketing coaches and get some advice on what your goals are for the year ahead and how we can help you, just click on one of the links. The calls are absolutely free and we'd be happy to support you. Okay, peace out and have yourself a great week.